kinds of energies. So let's start with our chapter here, the sources of energy. Okay, so here you need to first understand what do you mean by sources and what do you mean by energy. So sources means the place where from where we are getting our energy. Fine. Suppose you are charging your mobile phones or your TV. So from where are you getting this energy to charge your mobile phones or to switch on your TV, to enjoy your TV? You're getting this from electricity. So electricity becomes a source of your energy with which you are able to charge your mobile phones or watch your TV, right? So sources means the place where your energy is coming from. That means source. What do you now mean by energy? Okay, this also you must have learnt in your previous classes. What is the definition of energy? Energy is capacity to do work. How much work can you do? That is your energy. Okay, so sometimes when you end up doing a lot of work, you end up losing your energy. Okay, so you gain your energy. Okay, again you start working towards it. So you keep gaining and losing energy. You keep losing and gaining energy whenever you're doing some work. Fine. So energy is capacity to do work. Suppose, for example, we'll just revise as to what is energy. Even though you have done it in your class 9th, suppose you are able to run 3 kilometers in, let's say, 5 minutes. Okay, and you have a friend who's able to run 5 kilometers, in 5 minutes, right? So he is able to run more than you. Okay, you are only able to run 3 kilometers with respect to a certain time. Fine, but your friend is able to run 5 kilometers, means he's able to do more work. So he has got more energy. Fine, or you can take it otherwise also. So energy is the amount of work that you're able to do in a certain period of time. Capacity to do work is known as energy. So we end up doing a lot of work and end up losing energy. Whether it is the plants or the animals, everyone gains the energy and loses the energy. So plants are also, in a way, they are doing this work. We don't define, whenever plants are doing, preparing their food, we don't define it work. But as far as they are concerned, they are doing their work. They are preparing their food, okay, by the process of photosynthesis. The animals, hunting each other, so they're running. What kind of energy are they using when they run after the other animals just for hunting them? They use their muscular power. So that is the muscle energy, the muscular energy that they are using. Fine. So we have different sources of energy. Let's look at the other sources of energy that we have. So you have your motorbikes, you have your cars. So how do they run? They also need energy to run. So what is that source with which you're able to move around in your car or move around in your motorbike? That is nothing but fuel. So you use fuel. Either it is petrol, it can be diesel, it can be anything, it can be kerosene, whatever it is. So all these things are the sources of energy basically. Fine. Then the fuel is also used by your airlines, because of which the aircraft is able to fly. What about water? Here I've shown tides. So the person is able to surf. So there is some energy which is making him move and fly over water. So what is energy? What is pushing him ahead? It is the water. It is the tides which are pushing the person ahead, and he's able to surf. So tidal energy is also a kind of energy. In this case, tides become the source of energy for him. Okay, look at this toy wheel. So I'm sure all of you must have played with these kinds of the wheels, the paper wheels, when you were young. So generally what do? You hold these wheels in your hand and you run, against the air. So what happens? It is the wind or the air which will push the wheels of the these paper wheels. So what is that which is making the paper wheel turn around, move around? It is the wind. So here wind or air becomes the source of energy. So you have various sources of energy which will try and give you some energy to do work. Okay, the other sources are electrical sources, which we have already discussed. Like the bulb works with the help of electricity, your mobile phones, your laptops, all your latest gadgets, whatever you're using at home, everything works because of some source of energy, which is electricity in this case. Fine. So do you understand what do we mean by sources of energy? First, understand the meaning of the the title of the chapter, sources of energy. So these are the various sources of energy which we are going to discuss. But before we move on to discuss the various sources of energy, you need to understand the concept of energy. How is the energy gained? How is the energy lost in the environment? Okay, this is again very important. So suppose the person here, this fellow, he is actually trying to push certain objects, okay, a particular object. So after some time, let's say he's not able to move this heavy weight, what will happen? Eventually he'll be sweating, okay, he'll be tired. So why is he tired? The box isn't the box was not moving, he's not able to move the box, but still he's tired. That is because even if the box is not moving, he still ends up losing energy, right? Just because he is applying some work on the box, he loses energy, correct? Now, in this case, who loses energy? The person loses energy. But who gains energy? The box gains energy. Here, the second one. The box is the one which gains energy. But still it doesn't move, because probably the force is not strong enough to move the box. So the box needs some more force, some more energy. Okay, that amount of energy is not sufficient, but still he ends up gaining energy. Okay, so the person loses energy, the box gains energy. Now what happens to the person? We have energy. Initially the person had energy. We do work and we lose energy. Very, very, easily understood. We have energy. When we do work, we lose energy. How do we gain energy? We gain energy by eating, we gain energy by sleeping, we can gain energy by resting. So there are various methods by which we can gain energy. Okay, and again we end up losing energy whenever we do some work. So suppose you're sitting in front of your laptops for about, let's say, 5 hours because you have so many classes. Okay, so eventually you will get tired, right? So how do you gain energy? You'll say, now I'm going to rest. Thank God there are no further classes. I'm going to rest, I'm going to eat, and I'm going to again gain energy for the next day classes. Fine. So what is the summary? What is the gist of it? Work is done by the person. Work is done on the box. So whenever work is done by the person, he loses energy. Whenever work is done on the box, he gains energy. So this circle of energy gaining and energy losing and energy getting transferred. So in this case, where is the energy from which object to which object is the energy being transferred? The energy is being transferred from the person to the box. Okay. So now, if you've understood this, we come down to a very important concept, which is conservation of energy. So you now know that energy keeps transferring from one object to another object. Okay, and this again we've learned that when you have in class 9th you've learned energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is only converted from one form of energy into another form. And we've also learned about the example of pendulum. So what happens to a pendulum? The first position here, this position is your mean position, and the second and the third position are your extreme positions, correct? So at the mean position, if you try and move the pendulum, you take the pendulum to position 2 and leave the pendulum, at position 3 the pendulum will have maximum potential energy. At position 2, again the pendulum will have maximum potential energy, but when it is at position 1, it is going to have maximum kinetic energy. So what's happening? From 3, when it comes to 1, it loses all the... So when it comes from 3 to 1, it loses all the energy. Okay, and all the PE, the potential energy, becomes kinetic energy. When it goes up like this, all the kinetic energy is lost and it is converted into potential energy. So we know this We know this already, that energy is neither created nor the energy is destroyed, but it only keeps transferring or converting from one form of energy into the other form, right? That is what we saw in the previous example. The person loses energy and the box gains energy. This is the second example that again, suppose if you throw a ball upward like this. Now, when the ball reaches the final position, so this is the initial position, and let's say this is the final position. So when the ball reaches the final position, what will happen? Or suppose you lift the ball. Even if you throw a ball, it is fine. But even if you go to a certain height, you stand on the tower and then you hold a ball here. So there at that point, at certain height, the ball is going to have maximum potential energy because it is raised to a particular height, right? And when you leave the ball somewhere in between, now the potential is continuously reducing. Potential is reducing. So somewhere in between, both potential and kinetic will be equal. And when the ball starts coming down, the potential will become zero and all the potential energy will be converted into your kinetic energy. Correct? So now what is happening? One form of energy is being converted into the other form of energy. So this is conservation of energy, which we have already studied in the previous classes. Fine? So you need to know how the energy is transferred. You also need to know who gains and who loses energy. Okay, now if this is clear, slowly we are coming on to our the basics of our chapter, which is sources of energy. So before we get on to the understanding what is energy and what types of energy we have, let us first discuss some of the important terms which you will come across in this chapter. Okay, it will be easy for you to understand. Now, first is fuel. So all of you will keep using this term fuel, but how many of you do understand? So what is fuel? Fuel is something which when it burns, it gives out energy. When it burns, it gives out a lot of heat. And that energy, that heat is something that we use. So suppose you're using petrol or diesel in your bikes or in your scooters or in your car. What happens? The engine is continuously burning the fuel and it is giving out some kind of energy, some kind of heat, because of which the engine of your bikes or your car is running. So fuel is simply a material which burns and gives out a lot of heat. Fine? The second one which you need to know is calorific value. Calorific value is, first look at the definition, the amount of heat produced per unit mass, which means that, just don't look at the definition, understand it. Suppose if I have 12 kgs of, let's say, carbon. Okay, so if I have 12 kgs of carbon, you just take 1 kg. You just take 1 kg and you burn the carbon, let's say. So, and then whatever heat is produced after burning only 1 kg carbon, that you measure. Okay, so, and suppose, this is about the carbon. You take any other, let's say you take 1 kg or let's say, what do you take? 1 kg methane, 1 kg LPG or whatever. So you have to take that equal quantity. So let's say you take again 1 kg of any X or Y material and then you burn it and then you get some kind of heat here. Okay. So you measure both the heats. Whichever heat is going to be high, that means that material is having more calorific value than the other. Suppose 1 kg of carbon gave you, let's say, 30,000 joules of energy, okay, and 1 kg of this Y material gave you only 15,000 joules of energy. Then which is having more which gave you more heat, more energy? The carbon gave you more heat or more energy. So that means carbon has got more calorific value. So what do you mean by calorific value? Calorific value is the amount of heat produced per unit mass. Per unit mass means 1 kg mass, 1 gram mass. So how much heat is produced by 1 kg mass? How much heat is produced by 1 gram of mass? Okay, Anamika, understand it again. So what you do is, what is calorific value? Suppose you take 1 kg mass or 1 gram of mass and then burn it. So you will get some amount of energy. You will get some energy. Measure that energy, measure that heat. Okay, then take another. Let's say I have taken X material, then I have taken Y material, and both you have to take in equal quantity, X material and Y material, and burn them. Just take 1 kg or 1 gram. Okay, and then burn them. Whichever gives out more heat is your calorific value. Okay, is having more calorific value. Calorific value, in a way, you can say it is the output that you're getting. And what is the output in this case? The heat is the output, the energy is the output. So more the output, more the heat you're getting out of them when you burn that material, more is the calorific value. Okay, so that is what is calorific value. So the amount of heat produced per unit mass is known as calorific value. Okay, generally it is calculated per kg. You have to calculate it in per kg. Okay, now the usefulness of fuel is measured in terms of calorific value. How do you know which is a good fuel? The fuel which has got more calorific value is a good fuel. Fuel which has got less calorific value is a bad fuel, not so good fuel. Because you would want that only if I should burn only 1 kg or 1 gram of fuel and I should get more heat. Okay, suppose you burn hydrogen, you will get more heat. Suppose you burn wood, you will get less heat. Correct? So which is the better fuel? The fuel which will give out more heat per unit mass is going to be your calorific value. So in this case, look at this. I have here mentioned all the calorific value. They are in kilojoules per kg. Means 1 kg will give out how many kilojoules? 150,000 kilojoules only if you burn 1 kg of hydrogen. Next one, you see petrol, kerosene and diesel. How much when you burn 1 kg? Then how much will it give out? 45,000. When you burn methane, LPG, then it will give out 50,000. So look at the figures. Look at this cow dung, the last one here. Cow dung means those in your villages you must have seen. The excreta of cow. So they make cakes out of it, and then they use it for burning and cooking, for cooking purpose. So that is cow dung. So it gives out only 6,000 to 8,000 kilojoules if you burn 1 kg. Plus additionally with cow dung, lot of smoke comes out. That's why it is not very healthy for its use in the kitchen, because lot of smoke comes out, lot of health hazards, okay, attached with cow dung. That's why we don't use it. Look at wood, 17 to 22. So which is having more calorific value in this case? Hydrogen. That's why hydrogen is a good fuel. Fine. So you understood what is calorific value? If you understand that, let's move on to the next important okay, this one. Yeah, most of the fuels are compound of hydrogen. Okay, you need to understand that. Most of the fuels that we have in nature, like petrol, diesel, methane, LPG, whatever, they are the compounds of hydrogen, which means they have hydrogen in it. They are made up of hydrogen, basically. Hydrogen and some other, maybe carbon is attached, maybe hydrogen is attached, and few other elements which are attached. Right? Now, Devesh, okay. One video on the internet for 10 minutes, 1 kg of carbon burn. I have no idea. Absolutely, I have no idea. This is your personal theory. Okay, so okay, but you can actually have a good laugh at it. Yes. So should we move ahead? Okay. So most of the fuel are the compounds of hydrogen here. And they are also called as hydrocarbons. Means they have carbon, they may have hydrogen in it, but hydrogen is there in all these the fuels that I'm just showing you. Now hydrogen has got the highest percentage of hydrogen in it. Okay, that's why hydrogen has got the maximum calorific value. So which is the best fuel? Hydrogen is the best fuel. You can just check out the calorific value of fuel and you can tell me which is a good fuel. Whichever has got the highest calorific value, it is going to be a good fuel. Okay. Now this is one last term which is important for you. What is ignition temperature? Ignition generally is a term which means to ignite, to start something. Correct? So ignition means ignition temperature is that it is the optimum temperature at which it is the optimum temperature at which the fuel can easily catch fire. Okay, it is the optimum temperature at which the fuel can easily catch fire. Now, why is this ignition temperature very important? Suppose there is a material, let's say there is X material, and let's say its ignition temperature is 5 degrees. So as soon as the temperature reaches just about 5 degrees, it will catch fire, correct? And let's say there is a material Y. Its ignition temperature is 100 degrees, which means what? When the temperature reaches 100 degrees, it will catch fire, correct? Okay, so it will catch fire, which means which is a good material to use. Obviously, why? Because you would not like some material to catch fire when the temperature is just about 5 degrees or just about, let's say, 15 degrees. So everything will be burning around you if it is just 15 degrees. Okay, so optimum means the right temperature. The optimum is the right. Okay, optimum is right. The opt, we say na, optimum temperature, the perfect temperature. Okay, the correct temperature. So it is the optimum temperature at which the fuel can easily catch fire. So you would want a fuel which does not burn, which does not catch fire at 15 degrees Celsius, but maybe 100 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, see, imagine it would be so difficult for you to transport the X fuel from one place to another place, as it would catch fire easily. So you will have to, take care and probably transfer it using some, better techniques, correct? So that is your ignition temperature. Fine. Now, my question that, now that you know so much about fuel, you have to tell me what is a good source of energy, or you can say which is a good fuel. To add more to this question, in earlier days we used to have coal trains. Okay, we used to have steam engine and coal trains. Why is that we have shifted down to using electric? Don't we now use coal trains? Why do we only use electrical trains? Why is that so? Okay, so it'll be okay. My voice will be okay. In between, it just broke off. Now it'll be okay. So why do you think we use electrical trains nowadays, and we do not use coal in the trains? So must be some reason. Maybe because see, when we used to have coal trains, then lot of smoke used to come out of the trains. Plus, coal is not available in abundance. One day it is going to get over. Second thing, it was always required for the trains to carry so much of coal along with it wherever the train went. Okay, yes, to save energy, yes. So, but it was very convenient for us to basically have electricity going everywhere. Okay, like nowadays, even the smallest of the smallest village has also got electricity. So it's easy to lay down the electrical lines. Yes, very nice, Soumya. Yes, because of pollution. Very nice. That is one very important point. It gives out a lot of smoke. Very nice. So, but also because of pollution, second reason is that it's not very convenient for us to carry coal at, such long distances. Just imagine, you are carrying passengers, but you got to carry so much of coal along with it. So what do you want? You want some convenient measures. So it was comfortable for us to lay down the electrical lines all across the journey, all through the journey. Yeah. Yes, revolution of transportation. Yes, that is also one of the reason. Very nice. So now, what is a good source of energy, or what is a good fuel? See, you would want your fuel to be easily available, and you would want it to be as cheap as possible. Nowadays the price of the petrol or diesel, everything is increasing. So there are issues, it's very costly, right? So first, what you would want is that it should be cheap and it should be easily available. These points are very important. You have to note them down. Okay, fine. So they are cheap and they should be easily available. Yes, Chaitanya, if coal can catch fire. Yes, that is also one. So all these points we are going to include in this slide that I'm just currently showing you. So then it should be easily transportable. Very, very useful point. It must be easily transportable. Okay, can you transport electricity from one place to another? Yes, through the wires. It's easy for us, but it's not easy to transport, your coal, your diesel, or your petrol everywhere. Nowadays, coals and the petrol and the diesel, it is available at the remotest of the places, but then it's more convenient for you to lay down the electrical lines. Okay, so it should be easily transportable, should be cheap, it should be easily available, it should also have high calorific value, which I just explained to you. Means it should give you more amount of heat just by burning small amount of mass. Okay, and coal is non-renewable. Very nice, Aman Raj Chauhan. Coal is Prakshi. Okay, Prakshi. Coal is a non-renewable resource. Very, very, very important point. So which on this point we are going to just come in some time. Okay, I'll tell you why is it non-renewable, and that's why we need to shift on to the other sources of energy. So let's look at the fourth point now. It should burn without giving out any smoke or harmful gases, which you all just wrote it down in the chat box about pollution. So your fuel should be such that it should not give out harmful gases. Next is it should be safe to use and handle. Okay. Last is it should have a proper ignition temperature, which I told you, if the temperature is just about 15 degrees, it is not suitable for you. It is not good for you, right? So what is a proper temperature? Proper temperature is a temperature which is comfortable for you. Okay. Just a second. Give me 2 minutes. Okay, fine. Next is, so that is a good fuel. So all these points are very important. You need to write them down somewhere. It's a very, very important question from your exam point of view also. Now we are coming on to types of resources. So we know what kind of fuel you should use. Let's now understand what are types of resources. And again, I know most of you know this particular types of resources. One is renewable and non-renewable resources. Petrol is also not, yes, petrol is also a non-renewable resources. You can't renew it. I'll tell you why. Now we are coming on to that point. So one is renewable, another one is non-renewable resources. Okay, so there are two types of resources. Now let's understand what is renewable. Renewable resources are the resources which can be renewed. Renewed means replenish. Replenish means उसको हम दोबारा से produce कर सकते हैं. So renewable means we can renew it. Non-renewable means we cannot renew it. Okay? Non-renewable, we cannot renew it, we cannot replenish it. Renewable means we can reproduce it again and again. Fine? So first point, these are the difference between the sources of energy. The first point is sources of energy which are sustainable. Sustainable, what do you mean by sustainable? Means which can be sustained for a long period of time, which can be used for a long period of time, which can be renewed for a long period of time. Okay. Next is it can be renewed again and again. Self-explanatory. Fine. Now, these are also the alternate source of energy to non-sustainable source of energy. What is non-sustainable source of energy? Non-sustainable means which will get over very quickly. Okay, which will get over very quickly. We can't sustain them for long. We can't have them for long. Right? So, renewable source of energy are the alternatives. Alternative means sometimes when the renewable sources are not available, we have to perforce rely on these renewable source of energy because we can use them. Correct? Now, next is they are abundant in nature. So, what are the sources of energy which are abundant? Abundant means available in plenty in nature. Okay. So, what are these sources? Solar energy is available in abundance. Wind energy available in abundance, hydro energy is available in abundance, and tidal energy is also available in abundance. Okay, so these are the sources of energy which are available in abundance. That's why I said that we'll be able to use it again and again. We can replenish it. We can reproduce them quickly. Okay. Now, What are non-renewable source of energy? Sources of energy that are not sustainable for a long period. We can't have them for long. One day they will get over. Okay, one day we'll run out of the non-renewable source of energy. These cannot be replenished in our lifetime. We have, lifetime of only 80, 90 years, at the most 100 years. In that short span of time, we cannot reproduce it. Why? We will learn it. We will learn it in the, slides to come. Okay. No, I'll tell you about oil also. Okay, some of you are asking me about oil also. I will tell you. It is a non-renewable source of energy. These are limited in quantities, yes. Okay, and the example is oil, coal, petroleum, natural gas. So all these are non-renewable source of energy. Now, so these are the renewable source of energy. So let me just tell you again. Sun, you can use it, till whatever time you feel like using it. It's available. It's in plenty. It is available in abundance. Wind is available. If the sun is there, the wind is going to be there. And I hope you know that because of sun only we have wind. Sun, heats up areas unevenly. Some areas will be hot, some areas will be cold. So that's why wherever you have low pressure and wherever some areas you have high pressure, so the air is going to actually move out from the high pressure to the low pressure in order to make the pressure equal. So that's how the wind blows. You can actually go and read about how the wind flows and everything. So you have solar energy, wind energy, biomass. Biomass means the plants as well as animals together, they form up the biomass. Okay, water, tidal energy, and geothermal energy. Water is understood, tidal energy is understood. And what is geothermal energy? Geothermal energy means energy which we get from the earth. Earth has got various layers. So within the layers of the earth, there is a earth where we have the molten lava. Okay, because of that heat also can be used in order to generate electricity. Okay, so I will take up all these questions if you have any, and if you're writing down, just after this class. Okay, just give me 5 more minutes and then we'll stop the class. So these are the renewable source of energy. You need to learn all these source of energy, the 6 source of energy that I've written. So it is solar, wind, biomass, water, tidal energy, and geothermal energy, or you can say volcanic energy. You can say. Okay. Next we have is non-renewable source of energy. Non-renewable source of energy. So what is non-renewable source of energy? Basically, fossil fuels are the non-renewable source of energy. Fossil fuel are the non-renewable source of energy. Now, what are fossil fuels? Now, understand that, thousands and thousands years back or millions and years back, the trees that existed during those times and the animals that existed during those times, whether it is dinosaurs or any other normal wild animals, all these animals, when they die, they get buried and they get, compressed under the layer of the earth. So suppose they die, now you have many layers which will come over these bodies, because eventually they are going to decompose only. Okay, and they're going to be buried down deep in those various layers of the airs. So over a period of time, over thousands and thousands of years, many layers will just get jumbled, will get just packed over this particular layer. Now, because you have so many layers which is coming up on this particular layer, because of lot of pressure and lot of heat over such large period of time, this particular these animals and these plants, they will actually take a form of a very hard rock, okay, which will convert itself into coal. Okay, then they'll no more be a skeleton. They will no more be, in the form of trees, but they will be converted into a very hard layer of rock, which is, as you see, this black layer here. Okay, this eventually they will all convert themselves into coal. Okay. Fine. So is that clear to all of you? How we get how the entire layer actually becomes coal. So fossil fuels are the animals and the plants, okay, which gets buried deep under the layers of the air, and because of heat and pressure they convert themselves into coal. Fine. So this is basically what fossil fuels are, and fossil fuels are of three types. One is coal, another one is natural gas, and the third one is petrol. We will not go much deep into all these three types of fossil fuel because it's not there in your syllabus, but it's good to know about these three fossil fuels. So now do you understand? For them to become coal, for them to become natural gas, for them to convert themselves into petrol, it takes so many years. It takes thousands and thousands of years. So that is the exact reason why we will not be able to replenish them, at least in our lifetime. It takes more than many lifetime to convert them into these fossil fuels: coal, natural gas, and petroleum. So which types of resources should we be really dependent on? Should we now shift on to? We must shift on to the renewable source of energy because it is available. So one day the petrol is going to go off. One day coal is going to be over. When we end up using all the coal, all the natural gas, all the petrol, from down below, then it's going to go. Then what are we going to be dependent on? What will we use? So that is the major concern nowadays that most of the scientists, most of the environmentalists have. Okay, that's why they say climate, save resources, and that is exactly the reason why we are shifting on to the renewable source of energy. Now, what is coal? Coal is basically dead matter which gets buried first into the swamp area, into the marshy area, then goes down, and because of heat and pressure, they over millions and millions of years they get converted into coal. So coal and natural gas basically is the same process. Petroleum is generally the dead organism, not the plants, but the dead organism, the dead animals, marine animals, the algae which is available. So petrol is basically from the animal. Coal and natural gas is basically from any kind of dead matter, dead plants, dead animals, both. But petroleum is basically because of dead organisms, maybe marine organisms, organisms on the land. So, but the